Just a hard-fought SEC game. Just so many wars in this league. Ole Miss has a really good basketball team, and we anticipated that this would be a real slugfest. And they have a terrific team, and they forced us to play poorly in the first half. Give them credit. Obviously Charles gets the 2 fouls, and we just kind of hung in there, and then found the rhythm there to start the second half, and end the night with a really good win because we beat a very good team.
Mark, were you a little concerned coming in today, coming off the big emotional win off Florida, coming in this contest tonight?
I thought before the game, I thought the arena was a little flat. I thought our team was flat. Our assistant coaches were worried about our team kind of during the warm-ups, and I just told them before the game, I said, you have to be able to play on the days you don't feel good, and not every night is the rival Florida Gators and a packed house and all that. You've got to be able to show up every day and grind it out and find ways to win, and you got to stick together doing that. And unfortunately for us, we did. We stuck together even when we had to play from behind there in the first half, and we just stayed the course, and that worked out well for us.
I thought maybe you were getting some decent looks in the first half, but it's just one of those nights that you couldn't knock that.
I think, Chip, we had a couple of looks, but you got to give their defense credit. You have to give their defense credit. We couldn't get Kenny Gaines a basket. But they did a nice job. We did miss some shots that maybe we made in the last week, but you have to give them some credit there.
Those 2 threes by JJ down the stretch, were those plays to get him the ball, or?
That's just out of offense, and he was standing right in front of me, so I told him to shoot it, and they were big baskets, they were big baskets. He made a couple of big free throws late, and I didn't think he played so many minutes in the first half. I wasn't particularly pleased with how he played in the first half, but he certainly was very good in the second.
He was a guy that, was playing well as an energy guy off the bench. Are you surprised at his production as a kind of 30-minute-a-game guy?
Well, everyone's roles had to change. Everyone's roles had to change. I mean, we lost our 2 small forwards in the span of about 3-4 days. So everyone's roles changed. Charles has gone to a new position. JJ's gone to the starting lineup, and JJ's handled it quite well. Nights like tonight, when we get 2 early fouls on somebody, put us in a really precarious position. But Taylor Eccles gave us good minutes tonight, and it doesn't surprise me. But it's kind of been a work in progress as we kind of shift everybody around.
Man, it seemed like he started early in the second half, getting inside their zone and sort of breaking that up and turning the tide a little bit.
We chose to sit Charles most. I played him some with 2 fouls in the first half. Cam Forte gave us really good minutes, in the first half as well. But then in the second half, kind of Charles got back in his wheelhouse, in his comfort zone, and was able to make some plays on the inside of the zone. And I was pleased to see that because he sat so much in the first half.
Can you talk a little bit more about Cam's minutes and how important those were for you?
Well, Cam has got an unbelievable spirit for games. I mean, he's the most beautiful teammate in the world during games. I mean, he loves to play. He doesn't have the same love for practice, but he loves to play. And I told him after shoot-around, I said, we need your spirit. I mean, we need your spirit to kind of run through this team today. And so he gave us a real big boost. That was good to see.
You mentioned coming out flat, but the start of the second half, you really went out with a run, more intensity. What was the difference to start the second half?
Well, obviously, Charles was back in the game, and we were kind of, back to the lineup we kind of got used to in the last couple of games, and I thought that was key. And, Charles gave us a nice start to the second half and kind of led us there.
How big was Marcus in the first half when nobody was really making a shot that he was?
I think Marcus is the only starter to make a basket in the first half. I think he was the only starter for us to make a basket, which was critical. And I'll be honest with you, Marcus is, he's carried a big load, and third game in 6 days on his body that's been through as much as we all know it has. I was a little worried about him today. He looked fatigued for the first time, and as I told him after the game, you guys have earned a day off.
You really held back on putting him back in the game. Stayed with Yante really late. What was and then Marcus got back in the game and ended up making a steal that was pretty big. What was your thinking?
I just thought that Yante keeps growing up, and I felt like that he is ready to play in bigger moments. Marcus had, I think, 4 fouls at the time also, And so, we just chose to stick with Deontay a little longer, and he did a nice job.
One more question. Just again on Charles, I think this is the fourth game where he's been scoreless in the first half, and then obviously comes back as a big game in the second half. Do you have to find a way to get him going earlier to be successful going forward?
I mean, he got 2 fouls, so it's hard to score when you're sitting on the bench, I probably put him in one situation to get a foul, but it's probably poor coaching. I think one of the fouls probably is my fault. So, but he's got to be able to stay on the foul trouble, stay on the floor, because he'll get some shots if he gets on the floor. All right, thank you guys.